Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Art of Relationship Show. I'm your host, Greg Dudzinski, fully licensed professional counselor, have been for over, 2 decades now. Going to be talking about what is your grade as a lover? And everybody jumps, as a lover, that means sex, right? How am I as poundy poundy? Or, you know what? We're going to be talking about the dynamics, like our grade, if you will, in high school, whatever, elementary school, we have a GPA, right? Grade point average is made up of different subjects, right? So, it could be English and math, which my GPA in math sucked, I'll be honest, right? It could be maybe a foreign language, science, geology, whatever it is, right? Gym. Now, hold tight. I'm going to give into what my area or categories are for you to decide what your grade is as a lover, and also what your grade would be for your lover or your partner, past, maybe future partner, right? Things to look at and incorporate. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to be right back with the Art of Relationships show right after this. Hey, welcome back, everybody. As I went, no, I didn't actually fart. I tripped over my tongue again. And it happens often. Like I said, I do the show live, and we're live now. I don't do any edits. A lot of people, on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, they will edit their video and say they're live, but they pre-recorded it and edited it to make it look nice and perfect. This is live, no edits. I never edit my videos. Okay. Maybe I should, maybe not. I don't know. Join in the comments down below, people. Please throw your comments out, your questions, your concerns. I'd love to hear the feedback. I'm always wanting to get new topics for the show, of course, and to help more people out as much as possible. Today, going to be talking about, talking about your grade as a lover. How many people have even looked at it? And let's face it, a lot of people, oh, I don't judge, I don't bash. Yeah, we do. Okay. We might judge if that person is for us. We might maybe assess, maybe not judge, right? If we really like a person, not a person, maybe it's a certain vibe we get. So a lot of people that say, oh, I don't judge, I don't bash. I think we all do now. You know what? Do we learn about people? Do we learn to maybe gather information more before we assess somebody, right? Not about judging a book by its cover type of thing. Let's be honest, right? But I want you to be able to look at and what your grade is as a lover. How many people out there might rate themselves, oh, I'm an A plus, or I'm a B plus? Not bad, right? A minus would be good. But their partner would grade you maybe a C. How many people would actually be able to handle that truth from your partner? Or would you flip out? Would you be mad? I can't believe that. Would you be hurt? Would you be upset? And part of the grading aspect is about emotional support, and I have about emotional control and about emotional maturity. Okay. So looking at the dynamics about, would you be able to handle that? And here, hey, if your partner gave you a C, oh my God, a D, a failing grade, right? We want to go berserk. We want to go nuts. We want to get defensive and sort of throw that back in their face. We want to attack. No, right? Instead of learning, hey, what can I do to go from a C to maybe a B? What would it take if I went, you thought I was a D as a lover, as a partner? What would it take to jump up to a B, to even make it better to a C, right? Most people will not want to be around if their partner is a D or below, right? C minus, again, this is all subjective, people, but I want you to be able to look at what you need, and what your partner needs and what works best for you, right? And let's face it, if there are compatibility aspects that play a role in your grade as a lover as well. And sometimes we could be subjective, and maybe in one area we're a D and we're not going to get any better because, your partner, oh, he doesn't want a baby or a child. So I'm giving him a D as, part of a grade as my lover. And that's not going to change. And then you have to look at compatibility. And do you want to be with that person that just does not jive with you? Okay. So the areas I have down are, they're sort of a, I'm going to run them down and then I'm going to go into more detail. Again, you know what? I'd appreciate it. Please follow me, subscribe to me on YouTube under Love Guru Greg, or on Facebook if you're watching this now. I appreciate it. And join in the chat below, please, your comments. And, throw out your comments. What grade would you give as a lover? Now, the areas I look at, and maybe with couples and individuals as well, I look at, what is your grade? How are you with emotional support, emotional connection with your partner? Okay. How do you show compassion, empathy for what your person is going through? And are you there to provide support, or do you pile on the criticism? Do you rip your partner apart? Do you look at, how you approach your partner? Do you attack or come at your partner, or do you come to your partner with issues? And even you can be, very polite, very respectful. Hey, I don't feel this. I would like this from you. Well, I'm not this way. And you always try to change me. Well, that tells me you don't want to grow and evolve. And then compatibility is going to be a huge issue for us down the road. And chances are we might not survive. But again, that doesn't mean you can't be emotionally supportive and have an emotional connection. And you look at what that is. And the second category under emotional support connection, okay, is about emotional control, or slash, I call it emotional maturity. That doesn't mean we're bored and prissy and, always prim and proper. No, it's about, are we able to control our own anger, our own upset when it's needed in situations? I gave one example, right? When we hear something our partner doesn't like, do we fight back? Do we attack? Do we get defensive, or can we learn from it and say, you know what? Hey, let me do a better job at this if I can. Okay. A lot of people, Greg, I'd like you to be at least, women, 5'8". Well, I can't be, right? So there's nothing I can do about that. I get you. I don't get pissed, but how many people, oh my God, and they bash and, they try to rip apart each other and belittle each other because our own insecurities get the best of us. So that's what I call about number two. So number one, again, is emotional support connection. Number two is emotional control, or emotional maturity, as I call it. Number three aspect, okay, is about partnership. Your grade as a partner, okay? And like I said, I'm going to go over each one more specifically to give you ideas and maybe concepts of what to look for, okay? Number four is, let's face it, we got to talk about sex. And sexually, what grade would you give your partner sexually? Maybe everything else is an A and you're giving your partner a D or so about sex, about being sexually. Now what would it take to improve that if possible, right? And number five, okay, is about trust and loyalty. Okay. And this not only, you look at trust and loyalty are huge, right? That doesn't mean you're going to agree all the time. No, because you disagree doesn't mean you can't trust, or your partner's not loyal to you, or you're not loyal to them. But part of trust and loyalty also is about to yourself. And this is very difficult, where your partner might not give you a grade on this, but this is about holding on to yourself. Like I mentioned on almost every show about self-love and self-respect. Do you have trust and loyalty to yourself that you're not going to sell yourself out? Okay, so let's go back. Number one, emotional support and connection. Do you provide comfort to your partner when they're upset? If they're mad, do you try to understand them? Are you maybe comforting? Do you provide empathy? Do you provide compassion to what your partner is going through? And it could be a work issue, maybe an issue with a relative, a friend, maybe a health issue as well. How good of a grade would you give yourself as being emotionally supportive to your partner? And again, we're going to go after, in what grade would you give your partner in this area as well, right? Not only yourself, but your partner, and see if you're aligned, or you have different perspectives. And again, it's not a right or wrong, it's looking at what areas can be improved. Okay. So, how good are you at providing emotional support to your partner? And a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm great. I'm great." And their partner find out you get a grade as a D in being emotionally supportive, right? Are you able to give feedback? Are you able to connect with your partner? I get you. I get what you're going through. Or do you just remain silent and don't say anything? Oh, I'm being supportive, but the partner doesn't feel that way. You're being quiet. You don't offer a hug. You don't offer, any, oh man, that sucks. Any type of expression that you get them, you get their pain or you get their anger, what they're going through. Um, and you're not getting defensive. So your emotional support, um, grade, what would it be? Now, number two, like we talked about, is emotional control and maturity. We all flip out now and then, right? I'm human. We're all human. We might lose it. When I was replacing a vanity and I had to replace a water pipe because it was old, rusted, corroded, and freaking it leaked when I turned the water on, and I was swearing up and down. I was pissed, right? I wasn't pissed at anybody and primarily, and I don't get mad easy. That's just me. I don't get upset. I don't get mad. I'm pretty chill. Okay. But I was mad. We're human, right? But emotionally mature means about, are you able to hear the truth from your partner? Do you, are you able to learn from it and, try to evolve from it? Are you able to grow from what your partner feels or what they're experiencing? Are you able to grow and look at yourself, or do you flip out? Do you get angry really quick? Do you get defensive really quick because of insecurities, because of fears, or actually that you think you're all that and how dare somebody challenge you or disagree with you, and then you flip out? Some people will run and hide, and this is part of I call it emotional immaturity as well on this area. Some people, they don't want to talk, they don't want to discuss, and there's a difference between that. And I get it, you don't want to argue, I don't want to argue either, but do you address the issues at hand, or do you run and ignore them, and do you shut down, and all of a sudden nothing ever gets resolved? That's what I'm talking about: emotional control and emotional maturity, that nothing gets resolved. It's a rinse and repeat, and you either shut down, don't ever want to talk about it to address it because it's difficult for you, or the other person is that you fight back, you blow up, you explode, you have rage, or you try to belittle and rip apart the other person that has an issue with you. So that's part of number two, the emotional control and maturity, right under emotional support and connection. Okay. And again, remember, join in the chat down below. People, throw in your comments, your questions. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Excuse me. Oh, my apology. Drinking a little bit of coffee. My voice is gone. No, it's not booze, people. It's coffee. So, looking at, these aspects, and the next one on the list I talked about is partnership. Okay. We look at every couple, every individual might have an idea or expectation of what a partnership is. And a partnership is deemed by you what you expect from each other as being a partner. And this could be, being hands-on, being a parent. Is parenting equal? Do you feel like you both are, involved in parenting? It could be finances, right? That you each are contributing financially to the household. It might be equally. It might not be. It might be a percentage of what each other, makes. Again, I don't decide the rules. You two do, and you and your partner, or you as well, what you're looking for is what a partnership looks like. Do you feel like if you're doing home improvement project, that maybe you're doing them and your partner cleans up after you? Great, terrific. Or do you feel like you're always alone in that situation? Maybe, you feel like you both work 40 plus hours a week, and your person feels like you don't help out inside the house. You don't cook, you don't clean, you don't do laundry, you don't do the dishes, mop, sweep, vacuum, clean the bathrooms, whatever it is. So, what is your grade as a partner? What would you give your grade as a partner? And again, looking at what grade would you give your partner, and what grade would you give yourself? So that's what this is about. And can you talk about this with your partner? Would you be able to go over it? And so, "Oh, I can't go over it. It's going to create an argument or I'm going to piss my person off." Well, that's part of a relationship, isn't it? It's about evolving and growing and wanting to learn from one another. Some people don't want that and they wonder why the relationship gets stagnant, gets old, gets boring, or doesn't grow or feel like it has life into it because these areas are not being addressed. You can't even talk about it. You can't even have fun together. And you can't even talk about why you don't have fun together because you're going to upset somebody or piss them off. And that goes back to the emotional control and emotional maturity about working through issues, if possible, with your partner. Okay. So a partnership, like I said, it could be finances, it could be household chores, it could be that you have each other's backs in those type of situations, right? And of course, when I mention about parenting as well, do you feel like you have somewhat of a balance or what works best for you with parenting, that type of aspects, right? And it goes with hey James, I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna have this gentleman as a host. We've been talking about it for a few months and we need to coordinate that. But James, you're right. Growth comes from being uncomfortable. And I get that. And a lot of people they want to stay in their comfort zone and they don't want to learn to become more, maybe emotionally mature. They have more, control over their anger or how they respond instead of attacking back and take it from a place. I'm going to be uncomfortable and I'm going to learn what I can do. I'm going to grow. It's like that no pain, no gain. If you're working out, building muscles, your muscles might be sore from working out. And if they're not sore, that might mean you're not working them, right? So we need to be able to look with those situations and to have them and to talk about these areas, people. But a lot of people won't. And they wonder why their partner cheated on them, why their partner wants to be over with the relationship or wants a divorce because it becomes stagnant or the same issues are a rinse and repeat because there's no growth, there's no working, there's no evolving, like James said. And he just mentioned too, especially the uncomfortable conversations, one done correctly and calmly, that would be super. That would be great. Like I said, I'm not perfect. We all have our examples or our events where maybe we lose it once in a while, right? That we might get defensive, but we try to grow and work better in those areas. So defining, the areas again, number one, emotionally support and emotionally connected to your partner, emotional control, maturity, and what a partnership looks like to you. Okay. What grade would you give yourself and what grade would you give your partner? But, yeah, I want you to ask what grade they would give you. And would you be surprised in a good way, maybe in a negative way? And a lot of people think they're great in this given area and their partner's giving them a D or a failing grade or average at C. And will you blow up or can you learn about it and say, man, what can I do to be better? That would be great. And that's what I talk about emotional maturity big time. Okay. Now, going after number 4, let's talk about sex, people. And I know a lot of people want to jump right in. I want to know, my grade as a lover, I'm an A, and you just don't do anything, right? Maybe it's all about you sexually. It's all about you getting pleased and you're not being emotionally connected. And I could, about your grade sexually could include being emotionally connected during sex, being present during sex, or is it all about getting off and getting a nut each time? Do you care about your partner's pleasure, right? Do you listen to what your partner wants or describes? Or maybe your partner doesn't ever describe what they like, what they want sexually. So how are you going to be able to get better at sex with your partner, right? Well, they don't know this. And I've dealt with couples that have held on to stuff for freaking 20 years, 10 years. Me, I will not be in a situation that long if we do not communicate on all levels, and especially sex, emotional maturity, about mostly connected, what is needed. Me personally, I look at that as being, maybe it doesn't have depth, it's not fully advanced. You're not fully together in those areas because you can't talk about everything. Hey, Tanika, hey, what's going on? The number of people that, they think they're an A and they're not. I agree. There might be a lot. um, and to be able to look at when it comes to sex, you can look at oral sex, you can look at compatibility, you can look at frequency. And again, and I've talked about this, the biggest issue to desire, right, is that sex is enjoyable and it's fulfilling and it's pleasurable. And if you have more pleasurable sex, chances are the desire is going to be increased as well. So, are you able to talk about sex? Are you able to express what your needs are sexually, what you want sexually, what maybe doesn't work for you sexually? And a lot of people, I can't say anything because I don't want to hurt my partner's feelings. I don't want to make her upset or make him upset. And I'm like, what about self love and self respect? Maybe your partner wants to know those things so they can become better sexually, a better lover for you. And you're sort of not allowing them to be that way. So I talk about this. It's huge when it comes to sex. And a lot of people, they have an issue about sexual maturity and about being able to talk about what they want, what they don't want sexually. So what is your grade sexually? And we could break it down, like I said, emotional connection, mental connection, definitely physical connection, and about maybe oral sex, maybe about foreplay, maybe about sensuality. We could all look about, frequency. We could all look about that. What about maybe even flirting, right? Maybe about building the sexual desire, the part of foreplay. Do you build that up? Do you make your partner feel loved? Do you make your partner feel, appreciated outside of the bedroom, right? So you have to be able to look at that aspect and then be able to go after it. James, you mentioned when one is more experienced or more open. Oh boy, I love it. You can share that, you can be open and honest and talk about it. And that's I talk about, part of being emotionally mature and sexually mature is being able to talk about those elements, about what you want, what you don't want. And a lot of people, let's face it, James, I'm going to piggyback on you for a little bit. Not literally, but looking at when you talk about more experience, I want to know what the hell does that mean? Because a lot of people could have a lot, 500 partners, right? Sexual partners. That really mean they're experienced, right? A lot of people could think they're great sexually because they had a lot of partners, right? That doesn't necessarily, someone could have one partner for 20 years and it doesn't last, unfortunately, right? And they could be a lot better sexually than someone having 500 partners. You get me? So you look at, that's what I'm talking about, sexual experience and being open, because you have a lot of partners and maybe being experienced that way doesn't make somebody good. That doesn't make someone sexually mature. And that definitely doesn't make them that they're more open about talking about sex. They've had sex, but did they have good sex? Did they have fulfilling sex? Did they have pleasurable sex? Maybe they did for them. But if you ask those multiple partners, how was the sexual experience to them? And they might be like, it was terrible. It was bad. And you have somebody, like I said, that had 500 partners thinking they're great. Like Tanika mentioned, previously, they think they're an A sexually because they had 500 partners and they're terrible sexually. None of that 500 think they were good or satisfying or pleasurable or enjoyable. So that's where I wanted to go back with James when you mentioned, I get you. So a lot of people that might have a lot of, they might not be open to talking about what their pleasures, what their desires are, and how can you be better for each other if you don't communicate, if you don't talk about your sexual, pleasures and what you crave and what you love and maybe, what your expectations are sexually. So what is your grade sexually? And what grade would your partner give you sexually? Okay. Now, going back to number 5, right? The last one, we're talking about trust and loyalty. And trust and loyalty tend to be huge. As a lot of people know, most of the couples I work with, one cheated, both cheated. betrayed trust in one form or another, not just sexually, but maybe emotionally as well, where you're talking to a friend, a relative, and you're talking smack behind each other's back, right? You're ripping each other apart behind each other's backs. And you're like, oh, my partner better not do that. I'll be ticked. But you're doing it. You're being a hypocrite, right? So trust and loyalty, lies in it could be that you have each other's backs, right? That you're going to be open and honest to each other, that you're going to be there for each other when it's possible, right? We all know emergencies happen. And it's not like, oh, my partner didn't leave work because she or he I had a hangnail and they needed to come home and soothe me and comfort me. No, you need to be more emotionally mature to be it's a hangnail. You get me? We all know people in our lives, family, maybe friends that are in that element to where, what is an emergency versus what is not an emergency, right? I know people that were, oh, it's the birth of our second kid. She's got this, and they're not there. I'm like, no, you need to be there if possible, right? Now, if you're overseas, you're deployed, you're in the military, you might not have that choice, okay? But other than that, you look at trust and loyalty. What does that mean? That if things get tough, that you're going to work together, that you're going to be there. And the first sign of adversity, the first sign that maybe people have a disagreement and therefore I'm getting out of here because a relationship or marriage needs to be perfect, that, we're not supposed to ever have a disagreement or never have an argument. That's unrealistic. So loyalty knows is part of being able to work through it or trying to work through elements. And I'm not about that you always be loyal and trusting to somebody if they don't earn it. You get me? So what is your grade about being trustworthy, about being loyal to that person? Oh, I appreciate, hey, Lemon, I appreciate it. So I look at what these areas to you look at, what your grade is and what your grade as a partner is. And even, maybe get more descriptive of what these each categories or, classes, if you will, are that make up your grade point average overall. And you could be, write them out, right? Again, emotional support and emotionally connected, emotional control, emotional maturity. Number 2, okay. Number 3 is partnership. What is your grade as a partnership? And I mentioned go back, review the video. It could be household chores, parenting, finances, being a partnership. What does that mean to you? Number 4, I can't do that. I'm not coordinated enough. Number 4, there we go. Baseball, right? Number 4 is sexually. What does that mean? What is your grade for being a sexual partner to your person, being sexually? What is your grade being a sexual lover to your partner? And number 5, again, is trust and loyalty. So define these, go over it, and also look at these areas, what it means to you, and more define these areas and what grade in these categories or classes, if you will, would you give yourself and what grade would you give your partner? Now, ask your partner to do the same. And if you're single, that's okay. Look at what area would you give yourself in maybe a prior relationship. Use that, right? And also, oh, I was great. And a lot of people, like we talk about, I would give myself an A and everything, but your past partner will give you a D, maybe a C at best. And maybe you have a hard time with emotional maturity and hearing the truth and being able to evolve and grow. And a lot of people look at, oh, I will evolve. Don't push me. I'll grow. I'll evolve. But then it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years later, 20 years later. Why are you pushing me? Then that tells me it might be a compatibility issue. And that doesn't mean it's, a bad grade or a failing grade. It just means that you two might not be good for one another or have a fulfilling, successful, happy relationship or marriage. Okay. So go over these and I hope these insights help you out. And I appreciate all the feedback, Tanika, James, Lemon. Thank you so much. And again, please like, follow, subscribe to me on YouTube, Facebook under Love Guru Greg, social media, Instagram. I'm all over the place. Love Guru Greg. The audio version is all over the place. Look under the Art of Relationship show on every listening platform as well. Real quick, Tanika, my grade varies depending on a number of things: my emotional state, physical state, life events, etc. Sometimes I'm an A, other times I'm a lazy D. I get that. But real quick, and I'm going to look at can be a lazy D. What happens? And I talk about this all the time, real quick. Okay. Somebody could be busting their ass fully, right? Doing 100 things. And you know what? I'm busting my ass, whatever. And the partner gives them a D. And they're like, oh my God, maybe it's not being lazy, but it's not doing what works for your partner. You get me? I'd rather have people do something that works for their partner or works in a relationship than them fully busting their booty and it's not working, right? So maybe you put that enthusiasm, you put that dedication, that work ethic into what works for your relationship or your partner versus what doesn't work. And some people assume, and that's part of being emotionally supportive and being emotionally connected, that you know what your partner expects, what you need from one another, what works from one another. One person may be upset and they want time alone. They want to peace out, be alone. And the other one wants hug and reassurance their love. Again, neither one of them are wrong. It's just being on the same page and what works for each other. Okay. So thank you so much, people. Everybody take care. Peace and love as always to everybody. Bye bye.